start with an update on Marion Gabrick, Coach?
A little nagging thing. He'll be there tomorrow.
Good to go?
Yeah.
No change to your lineup tomorrow, or with
But Bergdorfer's gone, so yeah, Clay will be back in, yeah. And it'll be Andy in nets. Yeah. Stone is hopeful. Well, hopefully he's okay for either Tuesday or next Thursday. Hopefully. We'll see. He hasn't gone on the ice yet, so.
What did you do right in Florida? Tampa and Florida?
Really, I think if you compare what we did there to the two previous games, which were, two games that were close games, the difference was offensively we didn't bypass the net. The same scoring chances as the two previous games, and I know it wouldn't look like that for you guys, but for us it's clear. With the same scoring chances, our players stopped at the net, and that's what we practiced, that's what we talked about, so we looked at on video. No flybys at the other opponent's net, and just because we were there, just because we stopped, and we got those secondary chances, Payarvi got 3 like that, and screens from Pyatt on CC shooting. It's all of those are really not just net presence, but it's presence is sometimes just passing by. That's not good enough. And so we corrected that, and just because of that, we get the same scoring chances, we put them in. And our guys were fighting hard, very hard. And what I liked is that, it's been a long time we're playing well. And the two games that, were tougher for us, not necessarily bad, but tougher, that was when we lacked energy on the back-to-backs, whether it was in Arizona or it was here against Calgary the other day. And so that's where I'm very proud of the players for the game against Tampa. They're waiting for us. They're only game in 6 days. The top team in the league. And, we're coming back from a game the previous night, going to bed late. And you are tired on a back-to-back, and the players pushed till the very end and made it happen. So that was very good. Very, very good. But, I think Burrow's played really well for a while now, so he deserved to go up in the lineup, and we created a hard-working line with Pajot. Bobby was there on that line too, so I think that all our lines were working really well, and I like what Bergdorfer did for us. Very solid, great attitude for the time that he was here. I wanted to see him in the game, and so bring him in the lineup. I was quite impressed by his poise and how smart he was on the ice, where to be. It's a bit like O'Brien, to be honest with you. Like defensively, O'Brien's, I don't think I've had him do one mistake since he's been here defensively. He's in the right places. We've asked him to improve his face-off, and he has in the last 2 games. So, yeah, some good, quiet, positive stories inside the room.
When you see someone like Brian Dzingel, he reaches that 20-goal mark. I mean, you've raved about him since last season. Is this as good as it gets for him, or do you see?
No, there's more. There's more. There's definitely more. So I think right now, last year, like I've been saying it since day one. So I wanted him during the camp, and I thought he could do what he did last year. And this year, he's doing exactly what I thought he could do. And I know there's more. So I think right now he's making the steps. He's made steps last year. He's made steps this year. It's not just the goal scoring. That's the evidence stuff. But there's the other stuff, right? Where he's gotten much better. Where to be on the ice. Like he's getting less breakaways, but he's playing a much better hockey, a complete hockey game, which makes him a potential guy for top 2 lines. But he needs to grow. He needs to continue to grow, because the top 2 line guy, it's about consistency, and you want to be able to put your top 2 line guys against anybody, and so that means that he has to be able to play against the Crosbys and those high end lines, and I think in the long run he's got a chance to be able to do that.
Is there a certain pressure that now comes with him having reached the 20-goal plateau, though?
There's pressure all the time. Last year he had pressure to survive in the NHL. Now this year he had pressure to do more than last year, and next year he's going to have pressure to do more than this year. And doing more won't necessarily mean that it's X amount of goals. If he has 4 less goals, but he's plus 12, and I can put him against any line, he's a better player. He's a better asset. So we got to watch out sometimes in terms of what we look at for statistics. If you look at Jonathan Taves, he's not the top scorer in the league, but I think any team would take him. I don't know if a lot of guys have more points. And why? Because he's got some intangibles. He's a complete hockey player that brings a lot more than just the points that he's putting up on the board. And yeah, that's what we're asking from all our players. But of course, the young guys that you groom yourself, that's what we can say about Dzingel, because it was his first real full year in the NHL last year. Me being the head coach, I got control over part of his development and his the number of presence he's going to have on the ice and shifts and all that. And so it's easier for me to know where he's at in his development and what he can be. So he's obviously one of those guys right now that I've got to know very well. Duchesne's another guy, because obviously he's coming in new for us, and as you can see, it's going very well. So, like I said, there's a lot of good stories inside our room. If you look, and we want to keep those stories growing. Harper right now is continuing to grow. Shabbat, I thought, played probably his best game of all the games he's played with us. I think against Tampa, because he had to play with Eric against high-end players. We're talking as high-end as this league could give you. And I thought he played terrific. And so that's another step right there. So the consistency is a tough part for young guys. So if he's able to continue game in, game out to be able to do that before the end of the season, you're already ahead next year in what you can ask from him. Sorry.
Eric said after the game, I don't think I have a question here, but he said after the game on Tuesday that the guys are playing to keep the group together for next year. Is that part of the process?
Yeah. We've had a tough season. We had, contract stuff, things coming up, guys injured, trades, and a lot of moving parts, and so from then on, you're here, but then you want to stay here, and that's what the players are showing. There's a lot of guys in that room that want jobs. They want to stay. Even some guys that have contracts whose names came up, they want to make sure that their names don't come up anymore. And on our side, we got to know where we're going, and that's why for us, all these games are so important. They're so important. I think there's a lot of people that are not looking at the same things we're looking at. And it's normal because you're looking at the draft, you're looking at this, but inside, we gotta make some decisions here. We gotta know which guys we want and what kind of culture that we want to grow here, and so the guys got to fit the culture, and the big part of it is, are they part of the intangibles that make a group? You can have all kinds of names on paper, but it's proven in any sport, in any team sport, that it's not about the names. It's really about, does it fit? Is the chemistry there? Can you rely on some relationships that grow? And because it's really, in the end, do the players want to play for each other? That's where it starts. That's where it ends. And I'm glad the players are saying that, because it does make a huge difference. Honestly, I've seen some real good development in the chemistry of our group in the last weeks, and I certainly don't want to let that go. That's huge, because that really pours on to next year. It really does. Yeah, no, very much so. Very much. That means that from inside, they're seeing what I'm seeing from the outside. I'm the outside. I'm inside too, but really, we're not in the room. They're in the gym together. They go eat together. They're on the ice. I feel the bench during games, obviously, but even then, I'm not on the ice. So, but you could definitely feel that there's a great cohesion. Not just the last games. It's been a while. I've been saying it. Probably throwing some words out there. And the wind takes them away, but it just, for me, it's clear. It's been a long time now that I think a lot of things are developing individually, but I think chemistry-wise too. So, look at Pariarvi, for instance. The guy who's really gaining in confidence with us, and the way we play, it fits him. I like him. So, right now we're seeing that Pyatt and him are developing a good chemistry. So, that matters a lot. And we know now that Duchesne and Hoffman are looking good, but with who? And now all of a sudden we know that Dzingel could be an option there. It could be something else, but at least we know that's something that's a possibility. So there's the games that are left for me are very important, and it is for the players too. And I like the fact that they know that, they recognize that, and they've taken the steps. You look at our practice today; that was a solid practice. Like I cut it by 2 drills because it was they deserved it. They were so sharp, so quick, and so hard that didn't have to intervene much, and they were extreme professionals, and they want to win tomorrow.
Boro was just saying now that he sees, for a few different reasons, fighting being less a part of his game. How have you seen his game?
Oh, it's because, no, I totally agree. We've had that talk on a few occasions now. He doesn't want to give up some of the stuff that he knows he's good at, and that one of the reasons why he's here is he's a tough guy. But he's definitely developed way past that, like way past that. And I need him on the ice. Like that's what he is right now. He jumps into the play. I've asked that from him since the beginning of this season, and that's how he started the year. Everybody was all surprised. Scored a goal here, scored a goal there. He gets into the play, and that's what he's become now. It's not just this guy that you put out there to scare the opponent. Like he can play now. Like he does it all. And the free fights for me, to me, they don't belong in the game. I never thought they did. And so there's less and less of those, almost none anymore. And therefore, when they happen, it has to be something that's going to impact the game, because it's something happening at the moment there. There's an intimidation factor part of the game that exists. And so, sometimes your better players are being harassed, and since the players stick together, well, some guys are going to stand up for those guys, and Boro's certainly one of those guys, never shied away from it. But there's a lot of moments in the game where you don't need that. You don't need that anymore. You really don't. I'd rather have him on the ice and hunting guys because he hits so hard, and the opponent knowing that he's on the ice and that he's not in the penalty box for X amount of minutes, and that they're free to skate around because he won't be there. That's where his biggest strength is. And I know from the players, like we know from our players, when they play against a guy on the other side that's not necessarily hunting heads, because you don't like to hear that, but when there's a hunter on the other side, he's always in your mind. And obviously Boro is one of those guys, so that does have an intimidation effect. And so I never ask any players to go fight. I mean, those days are long, long gone. But it does happen, and when it does, there has to be a purpose behind it. You don't want it to be a selfish thing. You don't want it to be a show thing, especially not from a guy that's given us so much right now.